Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're heading to a place that I honestly thought I had totally figured out.
Oh, yeah.
You know those places you see on like European postcards? It's always canals, brick houses with those step roofs, and maybe some blue and white pottery in the window. It just screams quaint weekend trip.
It does. It looks like the perfect place to eat a waffle and maybe take a nap.
Exactly. We are talking about Delft in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, you probably categorize this city as a mini Amsterdam. You know, a nice open-air museum.
Yeah.
But we have a stack of sources today that completely just wrecked that assumption for me.
It is a deceptively complex city.
Deceptive is the perfect word.
Yeah.
We've got the usual suspects travel guides like Wikivoyage and Exploring Holland, museum archives from the Prinsenhof.
Standard stuff.
But then, sitting right on top of the stack, we have this incredibly dense academic report from Hinnovate on artificial intelligence in higher education.
Which, yeah, feels like it fell out of a different folder entirely.
Right. I was trying to figure out how we get from 16th century pottery to neural networks. But that's the mission today. We want to understand how a city can be a candidate for UNESCO World Heritage, literally frozen in time, and at the same time be one of the absolute engines of future tech in Europe.
It's a city of paradoxes. You have the cradle of the Dutch nation on one side of a canal, and on the other, you have people designing the Hyperloop and redefining the ethics of AI.
So help me map this out, because usually when a city is this old, it's just old, it leans on tourism. How does Delft manage both?
To understand that, you actually have to go back to the beginning. You can't really get the microchips without understanding the bricks.
Okay.
We need to go back to the 16th century, to the Dutch revolt against Spain.
All right, setting the scene. The 1500s. Who's our main character here?
William of Orange, also known as William the Silent. He's essentially the George Washington of the Netherlands, the father of the fatherland.
And he picks Delft as his headquarters. Was it because he liked the canals?
Not at all. He picked it because it was a fortress. Delft in 1572 was a walled city.
Right.
In fact, if you visit today, you can still see the Oostpoort, the Eastern Gate. It's this twin-spired gate reflecting in the water. Looks like a fairy tale now, but back then, that was pure military infrastructure.
That's what kept them safe.
Supposedly.
Well, safe is a pretty relative term here, isn't it? Because this brings us to the Prinsenhof.
Right. The Museum Prinsenhof. It used to be a monastery, St. Agatha, until William moved in. And it is the site of one of the most famous political assassinations in history.
July 10th, 1584. Balthazar Gerard's.
That's the one. He talked his way in and shot William at close range, right at the bottom of the staircase.
Okay, now, I've read about this, and the thing that just blows my mind, and I need you to confirm if this is tourism hype or if it's real, is the bullet holes.
It is very, very real. You can walk into the Prinsenhof today, stand right there, and see the holes in the wall where the bullets hit after passing through William.
Wow.
They've preserved them for over 400 years.
That is just visceral. I mean, usually you see a plaque that says something happened here. You don't see the actual ballistics damage.
It's chilling. But there's a deeper layer to this. Usually when you assassinate the leader of a rebellion, the rebellion just collapses, right?
The head of the snake is gone.
Yeah, exactly. But in Delft, the opposite happened.
Why?
Because of what William was fighting for. It wasn't just about land or taxes. He was fighting for this idea of freedom of conscience.
Freedom of conscience.
Yeah.
Unpack that a bit for the 16th century. What does that mean?
It was a radical idea. It meant that the ruler, the king, had no business policing the souls of his subjects. You could believe what you wanted to believe. When he was killed, he became a martyr for that specific value. And that idea, that tolerance, that freedom of thought, it became the bedrock of Dutch identity.
Okay, I want to pin that phrase, freedom of conscience, to the wall, because I have a feeling it's going to come back when we get to the AI stuff.
It absolutely will. It's the through line of the entire city.
So William dies, and the city becomes this sort of, holy ground for the new nation.
Precisely. That's why you have the new kirk, the new church, right on the main market square.
Which, ironically, is this massive Gothic beast that doesn't look new at all.
Well, new is relative in Europe, you know. It dates to the late 1300s. But because William was in Delft when he died, he was buried there. And ever since, almost every single member of the Dutch royal family is laid to rest in the crypt below that church.
So you have the royal crypt in the new church.
Right.
Then there's the Oude Kerk, the old church across town. I saw some photos of this.
Is it just me or is that tower? It's like fallen over.
It is definitely not just you. The tower leans almost 2 meters off center.
2 meters, that sounds unstable.
It was a medieval engineering disaster. They built a super heavy brick tower on top of a filled-in canal. The ground was just too soft.
Classic.
But here's the thing about Delft. They didn't tear it down. They stabilized it and just kept it. It's this pragmatic Dutch attitude of, well, it's crooked, but it's ours and it's still standing. I love that. So we've got bullet holes and leaning towers. But when I think of Delft, I don't really think of dead kings first. I think of that specific shade of blue and Jan Vermeer.
Master of light.
Right. So Vermeer. Born in Delft, lived there his whole life. If I'm a fan, I'm obviously going to the Vermeer Centrum.
Yeah.
But we found some chatter on Reddit calling this place, well, let's just say controversial.
I think tourist trap was the phrase I saw.
Yeah, because there aren't any actual paintings there.
That's the sticking point. The Vermeer Centrum has 0 original Vermeers. They're all high-quality reproductions. If you go in expecting to see the girl with a pearl earring, you're going to be disappointed.
Because that's in The Hague.
Exactly.
So why did the experts in our source pile defend it?
Yeah.
A few of them really insisted it's worth a visit.
Because it provides the context that a normal art museum just skips. It explains the Delft School of Painting.
Yeah.
It shows you how he worked. You have to remember, Vermeer wasn't just some starving artist. He was an innkeeper and an art dealer. He was deep in the economy of the Golden Age. The Centrum shows how the city's prosperity let him buy these crazy expensive pigments like lapis lazuli.
So it's a museum about the man and his method, not just an art gallery.
Exactly. It frames the art, so to speak.
Speaking of framing, let's talk about the pottery. Delftware. I think most people assume this is some ancient Dutch folk tradition.
Like they've been making blue plates since the Bronze Age.
Yeah, but that's not the case at all, is it?
Far from it. This is one of my favorite parts of the Delft story. Delftware is, historically speaking, a knockoff.
A knockoff.
It was the 17th century equivalent of buying a fake designer bag. At that time, Chinese porcelain, that blue and white Ming Dynasty stuff, was the height of luxury.
Right, super expensive.
Incredibly. So the potters in Delft looked at this and said, we can't make real porcelain. We don't have the right clay for it, but we can engineer something that looks just like it.
So they were hacking it.
They were totally hacking it. They used a tin glaze over local clay to make it look white, and then painted it with cobalt to mimic the Chinese blue. It was basically industrial espionage turned into an art form.
That is hilarious. So the main symbol of the city is a successful dupe.
But they got so good at it that the copy became its own brand. And the science is fascinating. Our notes from a visit to Royal Delft, the only factory left from that time, say that when you see the painters working, the paint isn't blue.
What color is it?
It's this sort of black, inky-looking liquid. It's cobalt oxide.
Wait, so they're painting in black, just hoping it turned blue. How do they even know what it's going to look like?
That's the mastery. It's a chemical reaction that only happens in the kiln at like a 1200 degrees Celsius. They are literally painting with a delayed chemical reaction.
See, that's the bridge right there.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to connect the old pottery to the new university, but that's it. It's engineering.
Exactly.
They were taking a foreign technology, reverse engineering it, and adapting it locally.
And that spirit has not changed. If you walk just a few minutes from the historic center, you hit the campus of TU Delft. And they are doing the exact same thing, taking complex global problems and engineering solutions. But instead of clay, they're using code.